Okay, good morning everybody, it's Mike and thanks for joining us this morning. There's a bubble out there and it's going to burst and prices are going to decline and we're going to go into another real estate recession. Have you heard this crap? I know I have. I've got all these people running around, don't know anything about the real estate industry, but have their forecast of doom and gloom. Right? I know you've run into them too because I hear it so much. My first thing is it's so easy to be Chicken Little and run around claiming that the sky is going to fall. Right? Where are these prognosticators when it comes to predicting good things to come? Right? When's the next surge, the next uptick? Yeah, I don't hear that. I just hear all the bad things that are going to happen. It's so easy to be Chicken Little. That's just intellectually lazy and dishonest. The way you combat that is just with some hard facts. So let's take a look at it. Why are prices up? And why would they stay up? And are they going to come back down? Well, let's take a look at it. Our inventory and our supply is admittedly down right now. Right? And demand is up. Well, demand's up for many very good reasons, interest rates just being one of them. But our today's conversation is going to focus on supply. Tomorrow we're going to talk about demand. Okay? And then I want you to put the two things together to come up with your own opinion on what you think the future of Atlanta real estate is going to be, so that you can have an effective conversation with Chicken Little when you run into them. Okay? So for today, I want you to think of your listing inventory as a pie chart. Okay? Many different slices to this pie. We're going to take a look at it. Right now, as we sit here today in the Atlanta marketplace, we have about a 1.9 month supply of available inventory. A normal imbalanced market would be considered a 5 to 6 months supply. So you can see we have almost 1/3 of the available inventory that we need to have a balanced market. So we have a dramatic shortage of supply. And I know all of us feel that in our day-to-day business, right? It's no big shock there. Well, let's take a look at why the supply is so limited. And if you think about your inventory of listings as a pie chart, let's take a look at the different slices that comprise this pie. New construction. New construction starts are way down and they're projected to stay way down. Why? Well, I had the fortune of playing golf recently with the CEO of one of America's, across the country, the largest new home construction company. And historically, one of the largest builders of speculative housing on the market. So you know speculative housing is when you go into a new home neighborhood and they've got homes standing ready to be purchased, right? You don't see much of that anymore. So I'm playing golf with this guy and right off the bat I go, hey, build more homes, dude. And he goes, that's not going to happen. I said, but we can sell everything you build. And he said, Mike, no doubt. I know you can, but we're not going to build any speculative housing. And I'm like, why? We can sell it as soon as you get it out of the ground. He goes, I know you can, but Mike, we have multiple layers of problems with this. Number one, available labor. So this is not going to be a political conversation, but the supply of available labor to new construction is dramatically down because of a tightening of immigration policies. Now you can have whatever opinion you want on that. We're not talking about that today. The fact is we just have fewer workers willing to put roofs on, hang drywall, paint houses, etc. Unskilled labor. Not plumbers and electricians, but unskilled labor, which would fall into drywall hanging, painting, that type of thing. Make sense? So we have a dramatic labor shortage. We just can't get enough people to work to build the houses. Number two, unreliable supply chain. So the products and materials that are available to us it's not a consistent supply. So we really don't know how much and when is going to be made available to us. And the third component there is dramatically increasing prices on the materials. So the prices of the materials are going up so fast, we can't accurately and predictably price them. So Mike, for all of those reasons, we're not building any speculative housing. If you see our name on anything that's existing, it was a mistake. It was somebody that we had a contract to build and they didn't close. So now we have existing standing inventory. Other than that, Mike, everything we do is going to be contract to build. Now, when America's largest speculative home builder says that, we've got an issue, folks. There's not going to be any standing new construction. It's only going to be contract to build by and large. That's one slice of why our listing inventory is so low right now. What's another slice? Let's take a look at the other end of the spectrum. How about REO, foreclosure sales? People say they love to draw the comparison back to the financial crisis of 2008 through 13, right? They just love, they think there's some correlation there. Okay, well, let's look at what happened there. REO was in Atlanta was 19.5% of total sales in 2009. Almost 20% of your inventory was foreclosures and bankruptcies, right? Today, that's well under 1%. Now, I know there's all kinds of people saying, oh, 2021, the foreclosure rate's going to go way up. That's not true. That's not true. They are taking data which is coming out and extrapolating an opinion which isn't justified. And they're saying, well, the number of mortgages in default right now are climbing at a rapid rate. Well, that would be true if you incorporate all the forbearance agreements into that data. So if I, for example, if I went to my mortgage lender's website back in April, and it had a little orange button there, which most of them did, saying click here for a 6 months forbearance agreement, and all I had to do was click the bar, and now for 6 months I don't have to make a payment. But I'm not really sure what happens at the end of that 6 months, though they'll work it out with me, right? That was kind of what was being told out there. Well, am I in default? Well, no, I'm in a forbearance agreement. You offered it to me. I don't have to make a payment for 6 months, whether I can or I can't. You offered me a forbearance and you baited me into it and I took it. Though there are some unintended consequences that turn out from that. That's another conversation. But when you take the millions of people that took advantage of the offer that was made to them and you put them in the default category and you say, well, foreclosures are going to skyrocket in 2021, I say, I think your data is all compromised. I think some people in there are going to have a hard time getting restarted, and I think a lot of people in there just think they got a 6-month break from their mortgage payment. Thank you. I don't really know what your data means. So I think we're making opinions based on flawed information. So what do I think? I don't think the first half of 2021 is going to see any noticeable uptick in foreclosures at all. So I think your REO inventory is going to remain far less than 1% of total sales in Atlanta. Let's take traditional resales. Well, what's going on there? Well, some of these people have been COVID impacted, right? They're reluctant to put their house up for sale simply because of the safety reasons. Maybe they're concerned about their employment. And when people get concerned about employment, are they more or less likely to make a big ticket purchase or decision? Well, of course, they're much less likely to make it. I'm not buying or selling cars and houses if I'm worried about my job. And millions of people are worried about their job or very indecisive about it, unsure of what the world's going to look like post-COVID and when post-COVID's actually going to begin. So they don't make big ticket decisions. So our resale inventory is greatly limited right now. When will that be released? I don't know. I think it probably has to do a lot with your view on how long this COVID-19 virus is going to be impacting us and what our economy looks like post the COVID crisis. But for the foreseeable futures, I don't see resale inventory really changing much from what it is today. How about private sellers and for sale by owners? Well, much like the resales, been limited for the exact same reasons, and they're actually having a more difficult time getting their home sold today. Why? Home buyers simply don't have the luxury of going out and driving around Atlanta looking for a home all by themselves. More and more agents are turning to home buyers are turning to agents to help them with their home buying process. And quickly to my last point in the inventory pie chart, investors. Investors liquidating some parts of their inventory used to always be a part of our inventory. Much less occurring now, simply because rents are up so high, investors are unwilling to liquidate their inventory. So for all these reasons, folks, do we think that supply is going to greatly change in the next 6 to 12 months? I don't see how it possibly could. For the bubble to burst, supply will need to greatly expand. Well, where's that going to come from? I want somebody to tell me, all these people that think the bubble's going to burst, please tell me where there's going to come this great supply of inventory to cause the pricing bubble to burst. Or demand's going to have to drop. Now let's talk about that on Tuesday. For now, let's go out there and make it happen for ourselves.